Hi, everybody. I'm pretty used to presenting and with big audiences, but normally you can see everybody's faces. So I'm going to try my best to keep the energy up. And we'll be looking at those questions as they come through during the presentation. So before I jump in, just to give you all a little intro on myself, I have been working in the food industry for over a decade now in a number of different categories, but always with companies that are focused on health and really changing the food industry. So I was so excited when I found Your Super, probably one of the only companies that actually lives up to a lot of these like clean label and other standards. And I just personally love the products, and I think I consume about 5 a day. So happy to be here. I've been on board for 9 months, and I'm going to talk you all through really some of the processes that were here before I started at Your Super, and then many of the new ones that we're building. We'll talk about how we think of product development, the consumer innovation, et cetera. So without further ado, Jen, if you go to the next slide. Yeah. Okay, today's agenda. We're going to start with the consumer-centric approach to product design. A lot of companies say that they're customer first. I think that, it really depends on the company, but we're going to walk through what we mean when we say customer-centric approach to product design. It's really all about you all that influence our future products. And then we're going to talk about product standards and how we ensure we're developing them or maintaining them when developing. I'm sure many of you have seen some of these standards on the website, on our labels, but I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and explain them. And then we're going to talk about the product development process. It is probably 150 plus step process. So I'm not going to bore you all with all the technical details, but we're going to talk about some details that I think might be interesting to some folks on this call. And then we're going to finish with what, from my perspective, is most exciting, future innovation. We'll give you all a sneak peek into some of the products that we're considering. Okay. Customer-centric product design. Okay, so I put this together. I was trying to figure out a way to really articulate what it means to truly be customer first when you're developing products and when you're building a brand. So it's shifting from the mindset of we're making people want things. No, here at Your Super, we're making things people want. We're spending a lot of time on the customer to figure out what your needs are, how can we support you better, et cetera. Then focusing on the product the company wants to sell, we focus on the outcome the customer needs, making products with how to use instructions, rather making products that continue to adapt to how customers use them. We've had a lot of societal shifts in the past couple years. So you might have consumed products differently if you suddenly were at home participating in Zoom as we are here. So we're constantly looking at those societal and environmental impacts of how can we make our products work harder for you, developing products based on how we think, developing products based on what the consumer wants or how the consumer wants to buy, moving products and goods to consumers, making it easier for consumers to get products when and where they want them. We're continuing to work on that piece, ensuring that you can more easily find Your Super whenever you want to purchase more products. And then content to sell product. I like this one. From our perspective, it's really content to educate and inspire, just like this summit. If you go to the next slide. So what does that actually mean? I love my job because product development is really that left and right brain. There's certainly a creative element to it, but a lot of it is scientific and technical. There's a lot of data that drives or helps us with decision-making when we're developing products. So to start, we look at the market and really more technical data, as I said. This includes clinical research studies on health. I mean, we're constantly looking at not only what's trending in the world of health, but studies and new scientific studies that come out to say, hey, did you know that this new ingredient can actually contribute to X, Y, and Z, to make sure that we are, yes, being innovative, but using products that we believe in the potency and efficacy of. We look at consumer behavioral trends, we look at societal and environmental changes, and how that impacts your needs. Just like I mentioned, the example with COVID, there was a lot of shifts in how we all interacted with our products. So how can we stay ahead of that to ensure that your super products are always convenient for the consumer needs? Then we look at consumer research. So this includes focus groups, surveys, customer service feedback. Those of you who give feedback to our customer service team, we're looking at that really weekly, if not daily, some of us. So whatever you're telling us about our current products and experience, and really any additional needs that you have that we don't service today. And then further down in the process, we look at, or we run product tastings and then look at positioning analysis. So currently we will send products to a consumer lab that will taste the product and have to fill out a scorecard to basically say, how did you like the taste of lemon? How would you describe the taste of lemon? You know, not tart enough, too tart. And we use that to ensure that the formula that we're developing is really working as hard for us as it can. And then really ensuring that the positioning of the cans and what we have on the label gives you all the correct information to understand the product, understand how to use it, et cetera. And then lastly, the product ratings and NPS score. So basically, for those of you who don't know, NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, and it's a fancy name for those 5-star reviews that you all give us when we ask, would you recommend your super to family or friends? So when you try products, when you fill out those ratings on the website, that's a 1 to 5 star, and give us feedback, we're looking at that constantly. And then also when you get a survey after you purchase a new product, hopefully we're not bugging you. We're asking a lot of questions, but when you fill that out, we're using that information as well to dictate how we can optimize current products and what new products we can be producing. You go to the next slide. Yeah, so given that you all are already engaging in the brand and you're sitting here on this summit, I wanted to highlight how you all can contribute. I not only like to talk about consumer insights, it's personally one of my favorite parts of the job, but I'm also being a little selfish here because I figured this was a great opportunity to try to get more folks participating. So the focus groups, we will be running focus groups later this coming year. So just take a look out for an email about it if you want to participate in focus groups. We send out surveys pretty regularly. So participate in the surveys if you have time. And then like I mentioned before, any feedback that you give to our customer service team is reviewed. And then pretty soon we want to start exploring what we call, the technical term is at-home use test, where we take product that is in the prototype stage and we just want to get some feedback on it. Instead of sending it to a lab or we have a consumer panel, you can also send that to customers and get feedback. And so this is something that we will also be kicking off this year. We will be sending an email about it. And if you all are interested, please contribute. You get to try products that we've developed in our test kitchens that are not yet at market. And then lastly, yes, please continue to provide product ratings and feedback on new products when you try them. Okay, deep dive into our product standards. So here are our unwavering product standards. And this slide tries to simplify so many of those standards that the Your Super company has for our products. First, full of function, or yeah, there's a typo here, excuse that. Full of function, nutrient, or functional nutrient dense superfoods. So this is basically to say that superfoods are the hero of the product. We believe in the power of these highly nutrient dense plant-based superfoods that you find in our products, like wheatgrass and baobab and shatavari, etc. So all of our products hero multiple superfoods. That's what we stand for. We believe in the power of these superfoods to really transform people's health. So every product has multiple superfoods in them. And then clean label. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more on a future slide, but clean labels, kind of like all natural. It's this nebulous term that's tossed around a lot in the industry. Again, we'll focus in on what exactly that means for your super, but here the high levels: no fillers, no additives, no artificial natural flavors, really no junk. And then we're also free of artificial sweeteners and stevia, as well as added sugar, organic, exclusively plant-based. Next slide. And then what we believe in: business as a source of good, food as medicine, really going back to Michael's story, how Crystal was able to heal him through superfoods. We really believe in the power of food and how it can drastically change folks' wellness. And then transparent supply chain, and we'll focus on that a little bit later. Okay, defining clean label. This is a term, as I mentioned before, that's really often tossed out in the food industry. But it depends on what company is tossing it out in terms of what it actually means. Your super standards are unique because, as I say here, they're uniquely simple. We use only real foods that serve to provide nutritional value and support to your health. So what does that mean? It just means real foods. It means, the ingredients that you're seeing on your label. We're not even adding ingredients that we wouldn't have to declare on the label, which a lot of companies do to help with processing, et cetera. It's only what you see. So it's kind of overkill with the bullet points here, but that means no artificial or natural flavors, no artificial sweeteners, no highly processed natural sweeteners like stevia, no artificial fillers or preservatives, and then certified organic. Next slide. And then again, defining artificial and highly processed. Our food industry, and not only speaking to the US, I mean, a lot of these global food industries, unfortunately, have really been defined by these highly processed foods that are loaded with additives to make them cheaper and taste better. Well, we believe in real foods. I've worked with a number of R&D chefs, and someone on my team, I forget the name of the ingredient, but brought in an ingredient that I believe is used in either Cheetos or Doritos to give it this like really addictive umami flavor. And you just put your finger in there, and I can't even describe the sensation that goes on in your mouth. And it's probably so bad for you. It's some chemical that is put in food to make it more addictive. It's just crazy that these things have been allowed. So of course, at Your Super, we do believe in minimally processed ingredients as defined below. For example, if you take your super green powder, wheatgrass doesn't come in powdered form. We take the grass and then we do things like, milling, freeze drying, in some instances creating paste, et cetera, or in the future. None of these processes denature the ingredient. And in many cases, we use processes that minimize nutrient degradation. We're trying to ensure that we can get you all those powerful superfoods to your home and maintain the nutrient levels as best as possible. In some cases, it do change the nutrient profile to increase bioavailability. So the example there would, that's a mouthful. It means like fermentation, for example. You go to the next slide. Okay, and then our stance on artificial sweeteners and stevia. Well, research suggests that your brain still recognizes stevia, xylitol, other sweeteners, monk fruit, et cetera, that are traditionally used to replace sugar as something sweet. So your insulin shoots up like it does with sugar, and oftentimes your brain reaction creates those similar cravings that you get with sugar. So if you continue to consume those types of products, you're going to continue to crave those types of products. So we don't use them. Real foods, we don't shy away from using real foods with natural sugars in them. So fruit, of course, dates, coconut sugar. Healthy eating is a sensorial experience, and nature can taste great. We want you all to enjoy healthy eating. So, of course, everything in moderation. Next slide. Okay, and then our stance on transparency and ingredient partners. So basically, we know where our superfoods come from. Sourcing from your superheroes gives us an opportunity to impact local communities and empower farmers to do the right thing. So you see here, Crystal Michael and our VP of supply chain that has really found all these amazing partners over the years, visiting one of our farmers. Really, we want to not only support these local farmers, but also give them a stage to talk about what they're doing and their, sustainable practices, et cetera. And then our mantra moving forward is all of our products sit at the intersection of nutritious, functional, of course, we said that, easy. For some people, the powders are super easy. For others, they don't like to make a smoothie or don't want to mix the powder and water, and that doesn't feel convenient for them. And that's okay. We're going to find, additional products that might suit their needs. And then delicious. If not delicious, we understand that healthy eating can feel really hard. So this is something that we are focusing on more in the future, not adding any junk to the products to make it taste better, but just being conscientious of, the levels of certain ingredients that we use that might be more potent and strong tasting. Okay. And then the last part of the presentation is really the product development process. So if you go to the next slide, this gives you a snapshot into the work that the team does, this cross-functional team to bring products to market. I'll go through a few of these technical steps. Why I'm sharing this is really, for those of you, some of you are just generally interested in how we operate, but for others, it should continue to build the credibility behind our products, so you can see the stringent processes that we have in place to ensure that we are creating the highest quality products. So delivers on its promise. We have our head of nutrition who's speaking tomorrow. So she's evaluating the products. As I mentioned before, she's looking at existing research on certain ingredients to ensure that we believe in the power of those ingredients and know how it impacts your health. We do the consumer panel, we do clinical research studies, as I just mentioned, et cetera. So we want to make sure that our products are efficacious. Then we look at the ingredient source from good farmers, mentioned that one. I'm working with our procurement team to build a really strong network of farmers with good farming practices. And then, of course, that our products are food safe. Ingredients of the highest quality. So we look at multiple ingredients from several vendors before we pick the ingredient that we decide to use in our product. At times we have, 7 to 10 plus different options of products before I end up picking the one that we like best. Products are tested to ensure free of pesticides, heavy metals. Of course, we are organic. We want to live up to that standard. Products taste good without flavor additives. So we're going to, as I mentioned, continue to focus more in this area. We now have an internal team that evaluates product for its sensory attributes. How does it smell? What's the texture? How does it taste? Doing as best of work we can do in that area, knowing that we're not adding all this junk to just give you a better sensorial experience. Format fits seamlessly in customers' routines. So that's focus groups. Product is safe to eat, of course. So we do a lot of microbial and pathogen and lab testing there. Packaging is educational. So we want to make sure the label makes sense and you all understand how to use the product and understand the health benefits. So if you go to the next slide, these will be quick. Just an example of what product development looks like. At times we have 12 versions of a SKU. We're actually at a product we're working on right now. We have 17 different versions. And we believe we've reached that version that we're comfortable with, that you all will get to try in a few months. So if you go to the next slide. And then I mentioned this, so just an example of what we call the literature reviews, where we look into each and every ingredient in a mix and look at any existing research out there to ensure that, our philosophies are rooted in science. Next. And then just had to feature, I believe this is on the website, but again, the rigorous supplier onboarding process to ensure we find the right suppliers and partners and love the quality of their ingredients. Okay, so last but not least, future innovation. So as I mentioned, we do focus groups. So here's just an example of a focus group that we had run, I think it was back in June. So some things we learned from the folks featured in this photo here is people were asking for more support with sleep, cognition. A lot of people have brain fog, weight management and cravings, proper hydration. So I'd say either I don't like to drink water, forget to drink water, I drink a lot of water and I still don't feel like I'm hydrated. More hormone support. So of course we have moon balance. People are asking for more, specifically for fertility and libido, but, also more support for PMS and menopause. So some things coming to support some of those things potentially, those functional benefits. And then feedback on current products. So ask for more on the go options. Some of our customers have smoothie fatigue. Others want more kid-friendly options, more options for afternoon and nighttime use, and more just general use cases for the product. So again, reviewing both all of these, all this feedback and helping to craft our innovation roadmap. Go to the next slide, and I'm almost done, Jen. I'm looking at the time. A couple cool things that we learned in the research I think is interesting is you see that a lot of consumers in this space, their mornings, they start out really kind of health oriented. They're making a smoothie, they go to the gym. I mean, example is this morning I went to hot yoga, I drank my super green, I was feeling really good. Then through the day, I realized I had 10 meetings, and then, so suddenly I'm stressed, I have 10 minutes to eat. I did make I ate a leftover salad that wasn't very good, but then of course had a few slices of chocolate after because my salad didn't taste that great. And then at nighttime, people are they're tired. I'll probably be exhausted by these 10 meetings and maybe have a glass of wine and then eat some junk food, despite how healthy I might be. So this is pretty typical. So we're figuring out mechanisms to help keep you motivated through the day. And we see what, looking at what consumers are doing throughout the day, are they carrying stick packs? Are they drinking tea at night? How can we start tapping into those rituals? Okay.
And just FYI, Emily, you have until 11:30 actually. So no need
great.
to rush. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I thought I had 25 minutes. All right. And then I love this slide. And I wonder how many folks in the call can relate to this. We mentioned food as medicine, or I mentioned food as medicine in this presentation. Well, when we did research, here are just 2 photos of consumers' cabinets. But on average, we saw that consumers had 8 supplements or like products in their cabinet going unused. The general feedback here is I get excited about a new thing, and then I start, taking supplements, and then I just burn out from the whole experience. And then I move on to something else. Well, we don't believe that, healthy eating should have to be that way. You're super, it's all about sustainable health. And we believe that, yes, we believe in supplementation, but from the perspective of let's take foods you might not traditionally find at the grocery store, put it in a convenient form for you, and then give you opportunities to find ways to add that to food that you're already eating. So you're not having to swallow a pill. And so it can be more sustainable. And again, like I said earlier, if not delicious and convenient, healthy eating can be really hard. And people tend to kind of go on these crash diets and then fall off the wagon. So food is medicine. Food doesn't need to be in pill form. And we really believe in that. So hints on things we may launch in the future. I'm not going to say anything here. I just put some icons on a slide and we'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of exciting things that are coming in the roadmap. Stay tuned this year, next year, and the following. They're just all packed. We want to continue to support you all on your health journeys and figure out ways that through that customer and consumer centric design that we are seamlessly fitting into your routines in ways that we might not be today. Okay. All right. I rushed through the end because I thought I had taken more time than I had.
No worries. We have lots of questions for you. So I'm sure we'll use up the rest of the time, but I love that last slide. It's like everyone is very excited, wondering what.
I thought that might generate some buzz.
Yes, definitely generated a lot of buzz. Thank you, Emily. I will ask a couple questions and then let you run with the answers. So the first question is, when does using hot water with the Your Super products impact the efficacy? Is there a temperature limit for heat that they should be using when mixing the products?
Yeah, we like to say, so of course, some of our products are meant to use with hot water. For example, any of the products that we recommend using as a latte. Given how we process these superfoods today, a lot of the process that gets them to your door is strategically developed to maintain nutrient levels. There, of course, is going to be some nutrient degradation with heat. It's the same thing when you take kale in your fridge and you saute it in a pan. So we believe that the nutrient levels are still potent enough that if you add it to a little bit of hot water, that's okay. But we do recommend, like, don't have it be steaming hot. I mean, you can't even drink it at that point anyway. Just, moderate heat to make it acceptable for like a latte and a warming drink, but just be conscientious of how hot that water actually is.
Super helpful. I know I love using hot water with my mixes. I even tried it with Forever Beautiful, which was interesting.
How was it?
I actually liked it. It's like a fruit tea with some chia seeds. So
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah. All right. If the flavor of Golden Mellow is too strong for you, oh, sorry. That was the question is, if the flavor of Golden Mellow is too strong, what is your recommendation on how to decrease that kind of spice probably in bite?
Yeah, it's funny because I love ginger and turmeric, and it can be even a bit spicy for me. I add a little bit of plant-based milk. That's one that I like to drink like a latte, and the plant-based milk will really cut some of those like spicier flavors. So I add it to warm water, and then I add some plant-based milk just a little bit to smooth out the flavor a little bit. I cook with it too. Kind of just treat it as like if you're going to use ground ginger and turmeric, you can do that as well.
Perfect. All right. So question, you talked about wanting the product to taste good. What kind of rating do you use, since everyone has different tastes and changes constantly, to determine like when and how to release that product?
Yeah, it's a great question. Taste is super subjective. So having been in taste for a long time now, applying data to taste is difficult. It's all kind of large, law of large numbers. So what we'll do is when we look at our ratings, for example, there's sentiment scores, and we have sentiment scores around taste. So we're taking averages there, and, averages tend to reflect what the masses think. So there are, of course, instances where maybe somebody here takes super green as a shot and thinks it's absolutely delicious, swishes it around in their mouth. But what I end up truly doing is, but I'm kind of niche, I like to cook, I'll make my own like sauces and such. So I really lean into spices. And sometimes I'll like blend up a bunch of herbs with some spices with just avocado, and it creates kind of like a mayonnaise. And so I make a lot of those things from scratch, really. But there's a few products in the market that are a little cleaner. Jen, I've just been going through the questions.
Okay, perfect. Yes, sorry. I think my internet just went out, but I'm back and hopefully I'll stay here for now.
I wasn't sure it was me, so I just sat here quiet trying to fix my internet. Apparently I was on. Are the products safe for children to use? Yes, they are. We just, of course, there's some products that have caffeine in them. So there's select products that are fine for children, but yes, absolutely. We think smoothies are a great way to get your kids to eat veggies when they're picky eaters. So absolutely. Can I be part of the tastings? Yes, we will. What we'll do is when we finally arrange that, it's going to be probably in the next couple of months, we'll send out an email out to your super customers that will clearly say, do you want to participate in product tastings? And we'll have a sign up form so that we can get some of you on that process. I think it's really fun.
I see one question, Emily, I'm not sure if you got to it, about actually supply chain and kind of when you touched on our supply, but have we been experiencing any type of issues, maybe even with sourcing or like that supply chain that then goes on to affect our customers and their experience?
Yeah, there's been delays. We are not, I mean, we kind of suffer the same challenges that the industry is. So it's caused some delays on launching new products. And if you ever see products that are sold out, although I think we've managed to Philip, again, who's not on this call, who's our VP of supply chain, his team have done a fantastic job of ensuring that we still have, our products for our customers. But if you do end up seeing a product that's sold out for a week or two, that's just the reality of the supply chain challenges that we are unfortunately not immune to. Okay.
And then another question is, in the beginning of the presentation, you talked about like the milling because like wheatgrass doesn't come in powder form. Can you talk more about how that affects the nutrients or the superfoods once we consume it and it's all been processed and canned and put together?
I don't have like numerical data there, but we are running actually, this is interesting. I meant to mention this clinical research of our own because we look at research with like products. They tend to be the single ingredient, obviously not the mix because that's unique to your super, but we'll look at if you take Baobab, for example, I'm just looking at one of your super cans. We'll look at any clinical research that exists in the market that gives us information, scientific information of like, okay, studies show that it impacts human health in these ways. And we look for like products in many cases in milled form. But in the future, we will be running clinical research ourselves so that we can really show you all from research that we've conducted ourselves, really the impact of these products. I don't have like strong numbers on the milling process. We just go with industry norms, from experts out there that say, hey, if you want to maintain nutrient levels, this is the process you should do versus these other processes that exist.
Amazing. Are the enzymes still active in your super products? I'm not sure exactly what product is being referred to, but.
Yeah, well, we have a new product coming out that has digestive enzymes. I don't know if I should talk about that product.
Yeah.
But yes, they are. We can talk about gut feeling that has digestive enzymes in it. And they are active when milled. So, I mean, for some, maybe even too much so. So some folks that have a sensitive stomach might feel stomach activity too much so if they consume those products, like too much of gut feeling, for example, because the enzymes are in fact live and they are working in your gut.
And we have sent some communication out teasing a new product. So everyone should be a little bit aware, but also keep your eyes peeled for more emails to come in social. Another question, what is the shelf life of a product after expiration if it's unopened?
The total shelf life of our products is it 12 months? So the shelf life of a product, can you say that? What was the question again, Jen?
Yes, after the expiration date, if it's unopened.
We do not recommend consuming products after the expiration date. Not that they're not safe. It's just we take food safety and quality very seriously. So although we might be doing some more recent analysis and realizing that our products do last longer, we cannot recommend consuming it after that best by date.
Great. How do you get the mixes to dissolve completely per use? For example, magic mushroom.
You know what I do? I have a spoon by me and I mix his drink a lot. Or I put it in, this is a little bit of super brew in here. If you can see, I just continue to kind of mix as I go. The reality is we're working with real foods and we don't have things like flow agents and you know, in processing aids like that, that can create a better flow with the product. So depending on the ingredient we're using, just depending on its density, its you know, mill size, other things like that, there might be some settling. From my perspective, when you see products, it depends on the product. You know, there's some that just will dissolve in water because of what it is. But if you see like products that don't have any settling, I wonder how that product's produced. So it's just the reality of working with the type of ingredients that we work with.
Yeah, fair enough. And actually, we just put our frother up online and it's for sale. So our frother changed my life. I just froth it in my water or milk and plant milk, and it's good to go.
It's funny, Jen, I thought of the frother first, and then I was like, and I looked at my desk, and sometimes I will actually bring my frother in here, and I didn't see it, so I didn't mention it. But yes, it works really well.
Yeah, it works so well. Just make sure to like immerse it. I've definitely done it where it's like splashing all my liquid out. Yeah, it just like splashes everywhere. But yes, go buy the frother, everyone. It's online and for sale. All right, a really good question, actually. How do you decide what products to discontinue? So I know we just got rid of chocolate lover, which people are asking for alternatives. What's the thought process there?
If you're looking for alternative, I would do magic mushroom if you're okay with the ashwagandha and the calming properties of that. Yeah, I just did a Facebook Live on this topic, so it is a good one. I'm glad somebody asked. All of this, like I sound like a broken record, but it's all data analyses to make these decisions. Ultimately, we want to continue to launch new products and we need to run a business. And of course, you increase every new product you launch, this increases operational complexity. So we look at products that give us the most bang for our buck. So if there's products where like not many people are buying it or people really don't like the taste of it, we just need to be conscientious of the kind of feedback that we're getting. Chocolate lover, I personally love chocolate lover. If it was my decision, certain, you know, SKUs like that wouldn't be off our portfolio, but it just wasn't selling very much and it wasn't in high demand. So we decided to remove it.
Great.
But only to launch even better, more products this coming year.
Yes. And actually, a lot of people were talking about the bars that they really miss in some more convenient ways. So I know in your last slide, you had a little bit of a teaser, but kind of just assuring people we know we have that in mind.
Yes. Food is top of mind, you know, similar products like that you can take on the go so that you're not always having to make a smoothie if you don't personally like mixing the products just in milk or water.
Yes. All right, last question, Emily, and we'll let you get back to your day. Okay. Is Super Brew still effective if we strain it before drinking and probably applicable to other mixes, or do you recommend consuming all the mix before or like while it's being drinking.
I always recommend drinking the mix, like every ingredient in there. If you let it seep in water, you're going to get some of those nutrients, but it's not going to replace just consuming them. So if you're okay with some of that texture in the super brew, I recommend simply drinking it. If you really can't get past the texture, that's totally fine. You're still, I mean, even if you try it, like I guarantee you still feel the focus and the energy, and it's still going to be effective, but it will not be as effective.
Fair enough. All right. I know we're about at time. I can definitely flash the teaser slide again. People have been asking about that. So I will do that. Any last thoughts or takeaways you want to share, Emily? Otherwise, we'll let you go.
No, just the last reminder of we will be sending out a lot of emails about surveys, focus groups, tasting panels. We love hearing from you all. We love the product reviews. We love the CX outreach. So the more you talk to us, the better we can create products to your liking. So, and thank all of you. That's why we're all here. I'm disappointed I can't see faces, but I have enjoyed talking to you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. I know it was very helpful for everyone to hear kind of the behind the scenes of your super, since they don't get too much insight into that.
Great.
All right, Emily.
I'll let you all go.